Okay, I gotta finish this thrift store haul video kind of quick so that I can clear my coffee table off and live my life. Ever since I gave away this one F. Scott Fitzgerald book, F. Scott Fitzgerald books have just been coming to me. I got like 3 in the last week. What? This one looks particularly good. I love stuff like this. His art and technique, studying artists' methods, how they work. I just read Daisy Miller from Henry James and a collection of his short stories. And I see such a lineage from James to Fitzgerald now. I know he really admired Daisy Miller, and Daisy Buchanan is the character in Gatsby is kind of a grown-up version of Daisy Miller from Henry James in the 1870s. But yeah, Fitzgerald's great. During my first marriage, my then wife went to NMSU, and they had a great library system there. That was when I was just exposed to books I'd never seen before in my life, academic stuff. I remember I thought, oh, I like F. Scott Fitzgerald. I'll check out all these books they had. And the books were like really academic, and I never read anything like them before. And they really like stretched and challenged my mind. Oh, I wish I'd caught Personal's whole ascent there. It was great. Don't claw the couch, though. Okay, squirrel. Help me enforce that. So I actually need one more Foundation book from Isaac Asimov. It's called Foundation and Earth. It's the last of the sequels. And the last one that I got was actually the second prequel. I'm going to read them in the order of chronology of the series, not in which they were written. I want to get Foundation and Earth. That'll be a nice thing to see all 7 books there. I could get his other series too, like iRobot, Shares the Universe. Sci-fi. So this one's going in the single author section, which includes Dostoevsky, Virginia Woolf, James Joyce, James Agee, P.G. Wodehouse, William Shakespeare. And then in this room, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Albert Camus, Annie Dillard, Bill Bryson, Thoreau, Zinn, Cecil Adams, John McPhee, Montaigne, Knausgaard, Mike Davis, Willie Cather, Edward Abbey, Cormac McCarthy, Tim O'Brien, and Jack Handy. That's me. Reorganize later. What's up, Priz? How's it going? How you doing, beautiful? Look at that beautiful face. Got a weird bronze thing. Oh, guy sold me this. Told me it was called a lament configuration, and that it's actually kind of a puzzle. And if you can figure out how to solve it, it's like something cool happens or something. A couple of paperback nonfictions. This one thrilled me because this is the same edition I read forever ago, literally more than half a lifetime ago. I was like, yeah, from a library pile in Alaska. When I was hitchhiking around with a hippie girlfriend, like 19 years old. I love Nietzsche. I think he's great. I think his idea of power is like a wholesome version of it. It's like autonomy. But I'm more familiar with his work broken into aphorisms than I am with his work. I once put together this hilarious Facebook photo album called Pictures of My Children with Nietzsche Quotes. And it was just really cute pictures of my then young kids paired with Nietzsche quotes, and it was so funny. And poet Dana Levin, who's won all kinds of awards, said it was all kinds of brilliant. I love an old paperback. And I got these selections from the writings of Kierkegaard. Beautiful. These are both old. It looks a little more robust now. Got 11 pictures I need to hang up. They're all placed though right now. Daughter Sonora painted that. I think that's so pretty. And strangely reminds me of a very specific spot or two in Alaska. Here's a hard to categorize one, so I'm going to put it in currently reading. Mastery, the keys to success and long-term fulfillment. Seems like that'd be a good thing to read. Oh, novels. Dust-jacketed copy of Confederacy of Dunces, nicer than the one I have. Keeping that one. Kerouac that I don't have, Vanity of Toulouse. He wanted to put all of his works together that he wrote as roman à clefs, as autofiction, and change the names and call it The Legend of Toulouse. So I bet this is connected to it. Toulouse just meant the louse. He was Jack the Louse. There's a lot of Kerouac at that thrift store that was featured in the movie Honey Don't. Here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This is On the Road, the original scroll. On the Road, famously written on a roll of paper. Went on a lot of mescaline, coffee. Cool thing to own. I actually hesitated because I was like, am I a scholar of him in that way? I thought I kind of am. Been to Lowell, Massachusetts. I've met a relative of his, a cousin. Here's a pretty large-sized paperback of Siddhartha. Siddhartha is so good. Like, that's a book you get every copy of. Plus, I know a student that's literally named Maitreya. I'm like, I should give you a copy of Siddhartha sometime. This one looks interesting. A philosophical novel, The River Wye. 20th anniversary edition, so it has some staying power. It's like a river runs through it. Fly fishing. Fly fishing is interesting. I met someone who's really into fly fishing. Okay, getting rid of this old shabby cover copy of Confederacy of Dunces. It's kind of got like gouges in the spine. Still, one of the funniest books ever. This image doesn't excite me all that much. Doesn't seem that right, but it's whatever. It's nicer. I may keep both copies and like give one away tactically. It's just, that's such a good book. It's so funny. Yeah, it's just J. Riley is a comic character like no other. Organize those later. Finally, some new addition to the weird books editions. Atlantis, the Antediluvian World. Collected folklore about Atlantis. Good topic. I might have a book on that already. And this looks cool. A Brief History of Everything. It's new afterword by Lana Wachowski and the author. A clarion call for seeing the world as a whole. Still, I get the feeling it's going to be a little different and intriguing. Weird books. Yeah, I got a couple on Atlantis at least. I've had so many other books. I got rid of a lot of weird books during the purge. At least. Well, I had like a small bookcase full of such books. 3 like wide shelves. Now I've got 2 not so wide shelves. Some stackage overflow. This will be a shelf maxed section eventually. Like the writing book section. Can't fit no more. To be organized later. Okay, this will force the further refinement of the writing section, I think. But these could end up in art crit, lit crit, film crit. English in America. This one's kind of different because it's about the teaching of English. And that's super interesting. That is probably more justly in art crit or lit crit, but I think it'll have a lot to say that could benefit thinking about writing. Like what is it we do, you know? The 18th century English novel. Okay. So again, both English, but still writing. Radical view of the profession. It's interesting. The ruling classes want a culture, including a literature and a criticism that supports the social order and discourages rebellion, while it sanctions all kinds of non-threatening nonconformity. How the teaching of English has been appropriated by English American capitalism to transmit its own ethics, standards, and imperatives. I mean, no, that's going in art crit. Battle keeps growing. But I want to keep all my books about the novel together, and currently they're all in writing. Can this even fit in there? Let me see. Could maybe wildly rearrange these and get just enough space for one more book or 2. I could fit in there, so that means, you know, this would be just fine in art crit, lit crit, writing crit. Why not? Let's look at this stack then. So there's those. The 18th century English novel. Interesting. Teaching English in America. That sounds like it's got a lot to say. William Gibson's nonfiction on modernity. What's up? This looks quite interesting. Kandinsky. There's a great documentary about him on YouTube that you should watch. Wassily Kandinsky, concerning the spiritual art. He's really a collector and a magpie who combed New York for all sorts of trash and made art that was really strange and interesting. An abstract expressionist by way of Joseph Cornell, kind of. I don't know. I picked this up for the Kandinsky, but it's kind of interesting. I want to see what he has to say on this topic. That's interesting. Oh, it's a Dover. I recognize that back cover immediately. Good old Dover. Once had the idea of like throwing a parade where everyone made their own float for just whatever. Like, no, you weren't celebrating any one thing, but just everybody's interest. And so, like, if you liked a song or like famous photograph or a book or a movie, that'd be really funny. I was inspired by the song Everyday People by Sly and the Family Stone. I'm like, I love this song so much. I want to throw a parade for it. This I was so happy to find used. This is like a new, exciting book. And check this out. It quotes, I've been seeing this at Barnes & Noble and wanting it. Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. This is a quote from one of my favorite books about art, The Art Spirit by Robert Henri. The object isn't to make art, it's to be in that wonderful state which makes art inevitable. Robert Henri. Yeah. Yeah, open mode, as Elisa Gabbard calls it, I think. But my friend Dakota's been raving about this book being really creatively stimulating. Seems neatly designed. This is a Chip Kid number. Book designed by Rick Rubin. Special thanks to Penny. Got a lot of lined pages in the back. Don't know anything about that. But I will check this out. Ludwig Wittgenstein, The Duty of Genius. It's a biography about a philosopher. I'm intrigued. Maybe that's how I could learn philosophy, is just read biographies of people. Because I do enjoy biographies a lot, and I usually end up getting some of the person's philosophy. But, Maggie Nelson sure likes this guy, so I'll check him out. Well-written, intelligent, and moving, a first-rate biography that stands as both a fine piece of scholarship and a vivid portrait. Here's what I'm talking about with the Kerouac scholarship. I'm like, how much of this stuff do I need? Kerouac and Ginsberg, the letters. I have read both volumes of Kerouac's Selected Letters as a younger reader, and I enjoyed them immensely and felt very connected. Got a lot out of the experience, but a long time I thought Kerouac was a writer I had completely outgrown. I do think it's interesting how they just made their whole friend group famous, you know. Allen Ginsberg sometimes hung out in the Placidus communes at the north end of the Sandias here near Albuquerque. This is just one of my favorite biographies I've ever read. I love this. James E.B. Breslin. This is such a great, it alternates between biography and art survey and analysis and talks about his work. And I don't know how you could read this and not only not be a fan afterward, but not be just inspired. It's a great art book and highlights a great artist. I love Rothko. I'm saddened by Rothko. I think his story is ultimately kind of a bummer. But oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of color images in the beginning. In the middle, I mean. Some of the images that are reproduced here, even though IRL, they're really big, they're still very moving in here. I hope this has all the ones that the library copy I had. I don't see them though. There we go. Yeah, some of them are great. That one I think is awesome. Cool. Yeah, he wasn't always doing the standard rectangles and so on. There's more of that stuff in here. Yeah, there we go. He got darker as he went on. He also experimented with smaller works. A lot for art crit. You totally have a biography section. Thought about that in the hallway, but because philosophy is so hard to define. What is philosophy? But it's there. It's fine. It's going to require extensive reorganization. All these books for the crit sections. Poetry. Fernando Pessoa, Portuguese. I have more souls than one. Love a neat little book. This looks like a neat reproduction copy of Hal. Pocket Poet series, you know, pretty famous, epic long beat poetic work. The subject of an obscenity trial, full of memorable lines. I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness, starving, hysterical, naked. This one looked like it could go in the writing section too. Entering the mind of poetry. 9 gates. The 9 gates of hell. Sorry, just thinking about poetry. This intrigues me. There's not enough books about poetry and how poetry works and stuff that are good. I mean, there's not enough, period. But like the ones that really hit. What more? But poetry is such a mysterious process, etc. Blake poems. Selected by Patti Smith. Yeah, that was a hook too. Nice copy. Looks like that Willa Cather. It's vintage too, yeah. William Blake. As the old poem says, to see William Blake in a book of poems. And a book of poems on a bookshelf. No, that's not how it goes. One word why I got this NYRB, this reprint label, the New York Review of Books. They do great jobs. Make good eclectic things. They're sort of a criterion collection of lit right now, I think. Especially works in translation, I've noticed. Something great exists and goes out of print and deserves to be back in some way. This label seems to bring it home. I gave a lot of mine away because my friend Lisa collects them, but maybe I'll build some back up. Or I'll just give these to her later. But I want to read them too. Songs of Kabir. Also, I think it's fun to read diversely and widely. It's kind of annoying. There's videos about, like, if that's bad. Just read whatever you want, bro. Yeah, but maybe see what's out there. You'll have your mind blown by cool stuff from around the world if you seek it out. You want to be widely educated. Phil Emersonian. Poems of the Late Tang. Oh, and this is the deathbed edition of Leaves of Grass. Oh, yeah, I was so excited to see this. This is great. I do have Leaves of Grass, but... Oh, what's that? A cool bookmark. I've been collecting the bookmarks. Where have I been putting them? It's made of wood. Pretty cool. This bookstore is where this came from. Again, I got these all at one thrift store, PM Thrift in Albuquerque, from like unopened boxes. The place is crazy. It's hard to find stuff in there, but it's amazing what's there. Here's the poetry section, which now exists. Just that top shelf there. Not that shelf. That's genre. Poetry. It was easy. I just removed these tonke bricks. I could use maybe one or two poetry books more to make it feel a little denser. Nice squirrel. Where to put these bricks? Now there's more bricks over here. Too many books, too many books. No, never. The Big Thirst, The Secret Life and Turbulent Future Water. Clean looking book. Beautiful shade of blue. Interesting topic. Fishman vividly shows that we've already left behind a golden age of thoughtlessly abundant, free, and safe water. Whoa. But the science section is starting to get kind of full. Can I even fit one more book in there? All right, and we'll rearrange it so it doesn't look like that soon. Another stack for the new case. The hallway case. The case that makes it like I'm walking through a wardrobe into Narnia, but a world of books. Seneca, Letters from a Stoic. Heard those are like pretty funny. No. Speaking of Emerson, check it out. This is just Self-Reliance. And a handy-dandy little tiny book. No red letters, it's from Jesus. A magazine-like presentation. Interesting. And I just think Alan Watts is so great. If you ever watch YouTube videos with him talking, it's really funny that in the movie Her, he becomes an AI construct and explores the galaxy. I don't know. I usually read more of his less zen-y stuff that was more general. But I kind of trust him as a thinker. He's a really interesting guy. He's like a hippie Carl Sagan. But for now, I stay and keep him. We'll read him more sometime. Gotta get the ancient stuff. Here is the philosophy section right now. That one's full of notebooks. Organize later. Used to always carry idea notebooks on me. Yeah, organize those later. Yeah, books look good when you put them on the bottom, horizontally, but not on the top, because it looks more intentional. An eclectic hallway shelf. Bottom is books of utility, and Etch-a-Sketch, and drama, screenplays, and plays. Middle is philosophy. Top is poetry, and the very top is genre. From horror to thriller. And they hang up tomorrow. And what the kids these days are calling general nonfiction. Passed that up at a thrift store, even though it was $4. Muir. It's the writings of John Muir, the great naturalist. And a beautiful cloth-bound book with a ribbon bookmark. Prisma was so excited about the book when I first got it. Yeah, I was glad to have this. So spot. I read his book, Why Proust Matters, and I thought, this is great. Clear and well written. Yeah, I was like, is this the kind of thing I normally get? Not exactly, but essays in love. It's as good as topic as any. I'm intrigued. I write memoir. And like I said, I read a book by him I liked. Made me read some Proust. This guy I've known on and off, and I love Found Magazine that he founded, Davy Rothbart. These are his essays that he wrote. This is an early book I always meant to get a copy of, but I don't know that I ever had it. But I just got this nice, like, newish copy. Found magazine, in case you don't know, is a great magazine of just things people found. If you ever get Found Book 2, the second book, I've got finds all over that. But that's Davy Rothbard's legacy. I mean, Found has really grown into an empire with spin-offs and books and so many things. Fun tours and live events. Yeah, I remember going to an event of his in Boston in literally 2000. No, maybe 2001. Well, no. Yeah, it was 2001. And I had just walked across the country and had found so much stuff. And he was like, send it in. I bought a t-shirt that he had like made with a permanent marker on, like a thrift store shirt. Also like an NPR correspondent now and all kinds of stuff. A big Albuquerque connection. And a connection to Jeremy Barnes of Neutral Milk Hotel. They're friends. I think they stayed together briefly. When, who was coming through town and needed a place? Davey? Yeah. Two Journeys in Unquiet Places, Ghostways. First of all, beautiful book, no notes. A prose poem about eerie corners of England, a famed hollowed way, worn down over the centuries. Cool. This could be really interesting. I'm drawn in. I don't think I'll always be able to resist walking past this on the shelf. This will get read. I find Michael Pollan's career so interesting. Starts out writing about food, ends up writing about psychedelics. But this is one of his food books that's really famous, maybe his most famous. I read a shorter one, and I liked it. Got something out of it. He's got good things to say. Food's important. We should think about it. Just always read Beowulf. You gotta read all kinds of things. Magic, a history. From alchemy to witchcraft, from the Ice Age to the present. By Chris Gosden. This intrigues me. I bet this is a fascinating read. I love, like, collections of weird anecdotes with historic scopes, you know, and just provocative things, accumulations of strange detail that create a world. Oh, guess we know where that originally came from, but this was at a thrift store that I got this. This was someone's like death collection. Oh my goodness, there's so much like intent between the books that were available there. And this is good. I thought about putting this in Southwest, but I think it's a bigger history of indigenous peoples of North America than just Southwest. Touch the Earth, a self-portrait of Indian existence. You know, modern people got to get over encountering the old terminologies in old books, because old books are still good. And you should seek them out. Okay, definitely to organize later. Nonfiction. All my shelves are going to be shelf maxed eventually. I think it'll be a beautiful thing, though frustrating when I buy new stuff. And last but not least, the paperback fiction. I got a more exciting physical copy of 1984, and I think I'm going to take the one that's on the Paperback Project shelf and make it into wall art, because it's another old one. This is beautiful. Look at that. The name and the author are blacked out, censored. Solid. It's great. Tuck it in and put it to bed. And this is another good American short stories collection. Might as well. I think there's stuff on here that aren't on some of those others. Nice art and keeps coming into my collection, usually for nonfiction, but I'm intrigued. And this is something different. And it draws me in with an alluring shade of blue and an appealing back cover with a desirable font. A friendly font. Now again, stuff for the Paperback Project can be the most complicated to fit in there, but it's gone a little crazy lately. There's a beautiful looking old edition. Maybe it shouldn't be Mod Podge. But wow. Maybe I should give this one away. But I wish I had like little frames that perfectly fit mass market paperback covers. So I didn't have to do anything to the books that was permanent. I could just put them in a little box frame. Should make those. But anyway, well, this is pretty much full. Even the interstitials are full now. And that stack on that corner is hilarious. No, I'll display it somehow. Find some little stands for paperbacks. But then, okay, finally, the coffee table has been returned to use. The Prisma for your inspiration. And the warm feelings you filled the room with when I was working. I appreciate it. Your attitude is invaluable. Well, I kept saying I was going to write, and I did this video instead. I'm going to write for 20 minutes. Good night, you little ocelot. This is a transformer. It's an ocelot that can turn into a cinnamon roll. Collage Anodyne made before she left for Germany. She texted me from Heidelberg today.